This is UMBC Careers Unleashed, where we unleash stories, insights, and expertise to support you on your career journey. Let's dive in.
What's up, Retrievers? We are here with another episode of our podcast, UMBC Careers Unleashed. And today we are trying a new setup where we get a little bit more up close and personal. So I hope it feels a little bit more kind of like maybe like an appointment that you would have with me. And so I'm going to be answering some questions. For those who don't know, the Career Center, we have an inbox. It's actually, I'll give you the email address because some people don't know about it, but it's careers@umbc.edu. And you can send all types of things there, right? Just inquiries in general, like, oh, I had an appointment. Or how do I make an appointment? Students ask all kinds of questions in there. But some of the things that we frequently get are like recurring questions and concerns about like career search. And so I want to take the opportunity to like address some of those things like right here, because I realize that some of you guys or some of you folks don't get the opportunity to engage with the Career Center for one reason or another, right? Like maybe you live off campus, and you get here in the evening. And those evening hours that you're on campus, you don't get to engage with us. Or maybe, you just learned about our podcast because you saw an advertisement somewhere, maybe in the bus, right? In the buses, or you saw it on campus, or you saw it somewhere. And so you're just coming to, the knowledge of our podcast, and this is your first time really engaging with us. So I want to kind of do a one-stop shop of some of the questions that we get from your fellow retrievers through our careers@umbc.edu inbox. So with that, if you're watching me, you're going to see me look down a little bit, right? Because I'm reading the questions off the paper. But if you're listening to me, then you'll just, get to listen. So we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to talk about interviews. We're going to talk about career exploration, networking, job search, and even internships. So I hope that this helps somebody. All right. So one of the questions that we always get over and over and over again is like, what do I do if I'm nervous in an interview? Like, how do I calm myself down, right? Because you do not want to go into an interview. Nobody wants to go into an interview, sounding robotic or, having some fatal catastrophe. So here's my thing, right? This is what I would tell you. This is what I would say to anybody, that the person or the people who are interviewing you are just people. So the number one thing is to kind of get rid of the idea that the person who is sitting across from you asking you questions, that they are in some way, and I know this sounds kind of weird to say, it feels weird for me to say it, but like that they're superior to you or that there's some power structure or power dynamic, right? It kind of is because you are wanting to showcase yourself in the best light so that you can access the job that maybe they're the gateway to. And I get that. But like breaking it down to just, real life, they're human beings. They woke up that morning just like you. They put on clothes. They came into that space. They could have had a rough morning, right? They could have put on mix match socks. I don't know. Like anything that could happen to you could happen to them. So that's something that I like to do before I go into any place, right? That the people who I'm going to engage are no better than me. Now, I don't know if anybody, I may be dating myself, right? But there's this movie from, I think it's the 90s, and it was called Karina, where Whoopi Goldberg was, she got a nanny job for a little girl. Her name was Molly. Her name was actually Molly Singer. And so I remember Molly was scared to go to school, right? Molly had lost her mom, and so her father, became really overprotective, and he didn't make Molly start, I think it was kindergarten or preschool or something like that. Anyway, so the nanny, which her name was Karina, she comes and she's like, Molly has got to go to school. So she gets to this, argument with the dad, and she's like, all right, Molly's going to start school next week. So Molly is so nervous because she just feels like that all the other kids, because they started school before her, are going to be smarter. They're going to know more, all this stuff. And so I remember Karina, that's, played by Whoopi Goldberg, made Molly stand in the mirror. And she said to her, listen, you repeat after me. She said, my name is Molly Singer, and there's nobody in the world who's better than me. And that sticks with me, right? And I want to offer that to you today, right? Like that when and if you feel nervous, that you just have that replaying in your mind, that my name is, and you insert your own name, and there's nobody in the world who is better than me, right? Like, and that one piece of confidence, I think that if you just say that as you're walking into an interview or before you click on that camera, like that just hold that is true, right? It is just true that by the nature and the virtue that you are a human being, that no other human being is more important than you. And so to believe that, I think just gives you some inherent confidence. So that's number one. But number two, like taking deep breaths, right? Being well practiced. Now, I get nervous in that space when I say sometimes to folks to be well practiced, because that can also be anxiety making. But I do believe that being prepared and feeling prepared brings a level of confidence. So you can use technology, right? You can pull up the job description for the job that you're going on an interview for. And you can plug that job description into your preferred AI. ChatGPT is the one I like to use. And you can say, pretend that you are recruiting for a job, for this job. What are the top 5 questions that you would ask me in an interview? And then paste in that job description and let ChatGPT give you some sample, interview questions for that. You also can Google or ask, AI, what are some standard interview questions that typically show up across all platforms, right? And look at those questions, read those questions, and then practice answering them. The age-old place is in the mirror, but we have new technology. There's a platform that we have that the Career Center has actually, and it's called Big Interview. And you can go onto that platform and you can record yourself. They have questions also there too that they can ask you, but you can talk to a camera, right? And record yourself and actually see how you sound and look answering interview questions. But yeah, read those questions, even if you don't do it on camera, if you are comfortable with just like reading them and maybe jotting down. Some people like to write down those answers, and then read them and get familiar with them. You can also give yourself notes, right? And take your tablet into an interview space and feel comfortable. Interviews are not like, what is it? It's not a closed book exam, right? It's not an exam at all. It's an opportunity for you to have a conversation with people or individuals who are interested in having you be a part of their team. And I think that's also a confidence booster too, that if you make it to the interview space, like the interview stage, they are already interested in you. And they're just trying to, get a clear understanding a mutual understanding between them and yourself, right? And you are a part of that. Like, are we a good fit for one another? So remember, that you are like important. But I am Molly Singer, and there's nobody in the world who's better than me.
I am Molly Singer, and there's nobody in the world better than me.
Take deep breaths. Be rehearsed, like be well, not rehearsed, and that's not the right word, but like be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. We'll be prepared.
And then go in, whether it's on a camera or in person, ground yourself, touch the chair, feel the floor, and do your thing. That's really just the best thing that I can say for you, is to you, is to do your best. And if you fall short in any way, you just get back up and keep it moving. Here's another one that we get often. And some of these questions too, in addition to them coming in the careers inbox, we hear these in our student appointments as career advisors or career counselors, and also in like our workshops that we do around campus. But it's like, how do you answer the tell me about yourself question, right? Because that usually when you have an interview, that's like the top thing, it's like, sitting down like, okay, Emily, if that's your name, or Marcus, or whatever your name is on the other side of the camera, right? Or on the other side of the listening portion of this podcast. It's like, tell me about yourself, right? And it's like, well, what do I say? So here's my thought. Like, and I don't want to call it old school. That's not old school, is like antiquated advice, right? I don't want to say that, but the age old thing is that that's an opportunity for you to share your elevator pitch or your 30-second commercial, right? It's like where you hit the topics that, what are your like professional experiences, or like what is your major if you're a student, and like what are the things that you've done to build your professional skills, and then how does that align with the position, right? So it might be like, yeah, hi, my name is Jacob, and I'm a chemical engineering major, a junior chemical engineering major at UMBC. And I served as, the president for, I don't know, the engineering club or NESB. And I've got the opportunity to do a lot of different things on campus. I've gone to a variety of different conferences where I've been able to strengthen my skills. And I'm really interested in working for, BGE because, blah, 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 right? Like that's the age old format. Now, that might work for some folks, and I think that to share that with you, right, you can also kind of do some of your own, YouTube excursions on how to do an effective 30-second commercial if you feel like that helps you. For those who are outside of the box thinkers like me, I don't necessarily like the 30-second commercial idea. I like to tell people like something interesting with a little pizzazz, right, that they could not gather from my resume. And a lot of times those things that you're telling them, I'm a junior chemical engineering major from UMBC, well, that's on the paper, right? Like they knew that. It fills the space, and maybe it brings people in and is a centering moment. But it's like, what is it uniquely about you, Jacob? If you were Jacob, I'm giving you a name now, right? If you were Jacob, like, what is it about you? What is your personal why? Why are you interested in chemical engineering? What, about it? What skill sets do you bring to the table? And how does that align with the job description or the mission of the organization, right? Now we're thinking outside of the box. And I think that for me, that is something that's more interesting to hear as the interviewer. So that might be something like, well, of course, my name is Jacob. And, my dad is an electrician, or, he's been an electrician. He still is an electrician. And so all of my life, I got the opportunity to watch him fix stuff like, the light blows out in the garage and he goes out there and does it. Or, I would go with him on Saturdays where he would like do like his independent projects or independent work. And so I was always around while he was fixing things, and he taught me how to wire things together. And so after I graduated from high school, or as I approached high school, I started learning about career paths, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to stick in this field, but I don't necessarily want to be an electrician the way my dad was. But maybe I can do something, get a college degree and stay in this field. And so that's what inspired me to become an electrical engineering major at UMBC. And I really want to work for BGE because, well, BGE lights up Baltimore. And so the power source that my dad was tapping into all those years was from your grid. And so, that's how I became familiar with you all. And I'm really excited about this opportunity to get to know you all better, and for, you to get to know me, right? That has a different vibe than the 30-second commercial. So I'm saying that in that, how do you get to know me, or tell me a little bit about yourself question, that is an opportunity for you to open yourself up a little bit. But you don't want to just share something random, but open yourself up a little bit to tell them what inspires you, what motivates you, and how that connects to their work. All right. Next question. This format is something. I might need some water. I don't know, because there's a lot of talking going on in here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm okay. But here's the next question that we see often, or that I experience. It's like, how can I figure out, like, I've been me all my life, right? And so how do I figure out like what career paths, what jobs connects with my skills and interests? And I say that I've been me all my life, right, thing, because a lot of times you are so familiar with yourself that you can't see yourself objectively. Like, who walks around staring in a mirror, right? It's like, I don't, like right now, I have no idea. I could have something sticking out of my hair and I can't see it, but you can, And so I feel that way. I think that that's the truth, right? Like, a lot of times that we become so familiar with ourselves that we have a hard time seeing the bigger picture. Like, what are my overarching skills? Like, what do I bring to the table? What am I really interested in, right? You might be interested in anime movies, right? But that doesn't mean that you want to work in film, So so many things about yourself that you kind of have a hard time figuring out, like, well, what are the skills and what are the interests that I have that will connect me into my career path? Well, you're in luck. Okay. There are a couple of things, like, concretely, that I want to make sure I share with you. And then I have some more creative things and ways to approach that. So here at UMBC, we have this tool. It's called, well, we have two actually, and they are career assessments. The first one, which is my favorite, I'm going to be honest with you, especially for the purpose of, like, well, what are the jobs? Right. And even it breaks down even to not only what are the jobs that are connected with my skills, but also the majors. Right. Like, so you may have come here and majored in something that, a family member told you should, but you're not engaging with that well. So it even helps you with that part of it, too. So it's like, what are the careers? And what are the majors here at UMBC that lead to those careers based on what my skills and interests are? Right. And it's called the focus. You can get access to that through the careers. Well, you can go on Handshake and look in our resources section, or you can Google UMBC Career Center and go onto our webpage. And then there's a link right there on that main page there. It's called the Focus 2. And by taking that, it's going to ask you questions that you're probably going to be like, well, how do these even relate to careers? But it's asking you genuine information about yourself. And then it takes that information and it interprets what you share, and then it connects it to careers. So it's kind of like a mirror, but with words, right? Vocabulary words. There's like, with majors, is it media and communications? Is it this? Is it that? And then it'll give you a list of careers. So that is something that you can do. You can also take the Myers-Briggs, right? The MBTI. Now, that one is more familiar and widely used, like, nationally, maybe even internationally. I'm not sure. But it is second to me in my mind with, like, helping you to figure out, like, well, what is the job for me? MBTI helps you to understand your personality a little bit more. And then it does give you some suggestions around how and where those personalities show up most often in different professions and careers. But let's be clear, right? And I am actually MBTI certified. So I want to share that from my, certified voice, that any personality type can do any kind of job, right? I am extroverted. I am, I love to be around people. I draw energy from that. I am big picture. I am creative. These are things that I know to be true about myself, right? So I am, for the sake of, like, my Myers-Briggs letters, I am an ESFP. And sometimes I can be a T, depending on, like, my preference for the P and the T. I'm in the middle somewhere. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm extroverted. I love to be around people. I draw energy in a room and in a crowd. I'm creative. I'm big picture, all of those things. But if I were to go back to school to become an accountant, right, to learn the work and the discipline of accounting, now, I might feel like I was being smashed in a box, okay, because it's very exact. I have to be all of those things. But if I did do that, I could become an accountant. Now, I might show up differently as an accountant than someone who is an INTJ, right? Or whatever their letters might be, right? I might show up differently, but I still can do that job. And so the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because the Myers-Briggs or the MBTI, it helps you to understand your personality. But I don't want folks to feel like that if they are a certain personality type, that they are boxed into particular kinds of jobs. So those are just two practical tests that you can take, right? Is the focus and the MBTI. But other ways that you can kind of learn about like what careers fit your, like what career paths fit your interests. Well, you can come and chit chat with, a career advisor here at UMBC. And look, here's the thing. You do not have to physically walk into the math psychology building on the second floor in order to have an appointment with us, right? Like there are many ways to do that. We have virtual meeting options where you can, meet with us on your, computer on our platform Handshake. We offer phone appointments. You can send emails, right? Like to that inbox that I told you, the careers@umbc.edu. There are ways that you can engage with us where you do not have to physically come in, if that's a barrier or a challenge. But even if you can't talk to one of us, right? One of the career advisors, because I know that can be a thing. You could talk to your family. Right. And sometimes that gets a little sketchy. So you don't want to just like talk to one person because like my mom, right. And this is me. True. My mom sees me like her baby, and there are things that she knows about me that she has been seeing since I couldn't walk. But then people who just meet me see different things. And so it is important to get a varied view. You can talk to people who know you, but talking to just one person might give you a narrow understanding of yourself. So talking to folks, right? And it's like, what do you think I'm good at? Or what if you're talking to your parent, like mom, dad, or, your grandparent or whomever the person might be, like, what have I always been good at? Like, what's something that you can count on me to be able to do, or you can ask your friends. And so those skills, when you hear those things reflected back to you, you can then maybe Google them. Like, well, if I'm good at da-da-da-da-da-da, like whatever your family says, what are some things that can connect with that? Now, that's a real loose place to be. But it's a start. And so I definitely think, if you're just kind of like exploring and asking questions, to go the Google route is okay. But as many of you already know, Google can be like a rabbit hole. And then the next thing you know, you think that you're supposed to be an ice skater. And you just not. So I'm just saying that to say, you can use that. All right. Well, I hope that helps. I'm going to skip on down to some other questions that we often get. This is really the question, right? The question that I have written down is kind of more structured, but I'm going to tell you the truth, like what, not that we get in the inbox, but like that I hear, whether it's in a workshop, a one-on-one appointment. If I'm walking across campus and they know that I work at the Career Center, it's like, I have been applying for internships since months ago, right? I have been applying for jobs for months and I can't figure out how to break through the internet, right? Like, that's the whole thing about like, age old where you would walk in a building and turn in your resume, right? But now it's all electronic and it's like how I've been applying for months. Like, what do I do? And so this is how networking really comes into play. I mean, there's more things that you can use networking for, but I think that what I'm going to share here, you can apply it. It's kind of like lotion. You can apply it where it's needed. Okay. So using places and spaces where you can engage with a human being. Right? Like if you've applied for a job at T. Rowe Price, or if you've applied for a job at Google, or if you've applied for a job at wherever, your desired company, and you feel so far away, well, do you know somebody who works there? That's the first thing you ask yourself. Like, do I know somebody that works there? And then if the answer is yes, send them an email, send them a text message, call them if you can. If you don't know anybody who works there, this is where networking platforms come into play. So you can go on LinkedIn, right? And you go to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County group page, right? And it's not UMBC, it is University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And you want to follow it, right? Like that's the first thing if you're not following it. Then inside of that group, we have a tab for alumni. Now that's for everybody. It says alumni, but it's not just alumni in there. It's current students, it's people who work for UMBC, all of that. If you click on that alumni tab, you can now filter for, there are preset filters, but you can also filter for, like, if it's Google, you can just put like Google in the like the search bar, and then it's going to now whittle down. If we got, I think today we had like over 85,000 members. Look at that. We are growing, and I hope we grow even more after you hear this podcast or watch this podcast. But you go in there and you filter for Google. Now you're going to find UMBC folks that are connected to the Google community. And you can start to see, like, are there people who are doing the job that I actually want to do? And you can send them a message. This is like breaking through, I don't know what they call it, and acting like the fourth wall or whatever. I don't know, but it is like the magic key. It's like connecting to a person. You have now, and who are they going to answer you? I know that's what you're thinking. It's like, well, if I send them a message on LinkedIn, are they going to answer me? Well, I don't know, but they definitely are not going to answer you if you don't send them a message. So you miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot. So shoot your shot. Here's the thing. You write your little, I don't know, I think there's a certain amount of characters that you can put in a LinkedIn message, right? You put your little message in there. That's me typing. And then you proofread it. And then you look at it. And then you close your eyes like this and hit send, right? It's like, put it out there. And don't feel rejected if you don't get a response. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I have notifications in my LinkedIn right now, and I have no idea what they are.
I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do.
It doesn't mean that I feel like you aren't deserving of a response. I just may have missed it. And so I might come back a couple of weeks later, or maybe a month or two later, and I'm like, oh, Jacob, Molly, Christopher, Addie, whatever your name is, like, I'm so sorry I missed you, And so I don't want you to feel like that there's so much pressure behind when you reach out to someone on LinkedIn. And here's the thing. Once you connect with somebody, and I think the thing is to lead in, I am a UMBC student. Student. And if they went here, that's an instant like connection. Now, I've talked about LinkedIn, but there's also another platform that we have, which is called Retrievers Connect. And it's a little bit newer to some folks, but that is a Retrievers exclusive space where alumni opt into it because they want to help current students, and they also want to network with one another. And so that's also a place where you even actually have a more likely chance of somebody responding to you. So the national average for a response to messages on LinkedIn is about 17%, right? But you increase your chances of getting a response when you have it like a real connection, like we both went to the same university. But in Retrievers Connect, that response rate is like up to like 50-some%. And we're trying to even increase it even more. So you have a better chance of getting connected with someone in Retrievers Connect. So you can use that space too, right? But like now somebody who works there, like if let's say you applied a job at UMBC and you send me an email. Now it could be all the way in DoIT, right? The Department of IT. I don't work over there, but I know people who do, and it might be that I'm going to the Thanksgiving potluck for on-campus employees, and I bump into, one of the program managers over there, and I'm like, oh, you know what? A student who I really think so highly of. I've had a couple of meetings with them. They're great, they're info systems major, great GPA, really trying to, get connected into the career space. And I think they applied for a job. Their name is, and then insert student's name, right? Now, bung, the light bulb goes on. You have now used the magic of human people, like human capital, right? Like we are moving around for you. So, that's an opportunity, right? To use, LinkedIn or Retrievers Connect. So if you are stalemated in the job search experience, if you're feeling like humdrum, like nobody ever responds to my job inquiries or whatever, like you're applying for jobs, use your folks, right? And I think that stuff like LinkedIn and Retrievers Connect can help you. They also have like job boards on there too. And you can follow them. Like, let's say, for example, you apply for a job at, I don't know, NASA. Maybe NASA has like, group, and you join that group, and not only you may be sending messages, or they might post jobs on that group. There's so many things that happen there. You can also absorb and learn information too, that if you were to get an interview, that you're like in the latest about all of that stuff. So I definitely think that electronic networking can definitely kind of like help you break through the wall if you're feeling like your emails, well, not emails, but your resume is just out there floating in the internet world. All right. I think that I needed some encouragement too on that one, because networking, even though I love to talk to people, is not necessarily my strong suit. All right. So here's another question that we get all the time. And then I'm going to kind of, wrap it up. Here's the thing too. Like, if I didn't answer your question and you just got this burning question, to ask us, right? If you're watching this, on YouTube, put it in the comments. Like, and I'm not sure, I'm not that tech savvy. This is a moment, when ladies start getting a little older in my community, we call them aunties, and I am in my auntie era. So I don't know if you're listening to this podcast on like Apple or Spotify, if there's a comment section there, but if it is, you can put it in the comments there, and I'm sure our behind this, we're gonna fact check that. We got some youngsters in space who can do that for me. But like, however you're listening to this, if you're listening to it, a safe space is the careers@umbc.edu email space. If you're watching it, you can ask us questions. What do they say down below in the comments on YouTube? And then if there is a comment space in like the, Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Does have a Q&A section.
So. Oh, look at that. We got folks in the background fact checking for us. Thank you. That's Judson, everybody. Hey, we can't say hey to Judson because he's not going to be able to hear you.
What's up? I'm here.
But he's saying what's up because he really, he knows you're out there. So you can ask us extra questions. But I'm going to wrap it up here for the sake of time because I don't want to keep y'all much longer. Here's the one. This is the reason why, right? And I'm not going to sing Earth, Wind, and Fire reasons. I just might, but I'm not, but everything reminds me of a song. Anyway, the reason why you want to engage with the Career Center, for the most part, is like, how do I get a job or an internship? Right. And that is if I could pick up an elephant and sit it right here in front of the camera, right? Like, first of all, you wouldn't be able to see the whole elephant. That just happened in my mind. But even still, it would be like, this is an elephant sized question, but I'm going to do my best to answer it in this little time that we had together. So there are some platforms that you can use to find internships and jobs, right? Handshake, if you aren't on it, you need to be. Like, where are you? If you're not on Handshake, where are you, friend? Anyway, if you're not on Handshake, you can Google UMBC Career Center, and then there is a link on our website's homepage where you can get started with your Handshake account. And I think Handshake is a really good place, especially, it's for a lot of things. It could be jobs, but especially internships. And I say that because it is university focused. And so it allows you to have access to a lot of internships. That's where a lot of folks go to post internships. Also, on campus jobs are there as well. So that's number one. Handshake. You can search for internships and jobs on Handshake. You can also search for internships and jobs on LinkedIn in the jobs tab, right? Indeed, that's the age old, right? That's like where everybody knows to go. There's also a wonderful search engine for jobs that a lot of people don't know about, but it's called Idealist. And Idealist is a special search engine for folks who are interested in working in the nonprofit sector. So those are some like strategic places where you can go and search for those jobs. But here's the thing I want you to know. Even if you find a job or you engage with the job on one of these like search engines, Handshake, LinkedIn, Idealist, all of that, if there's an opportunity to apply for that job directly on that company's website, prioritize applying on the website. It's like, well, why do they post it on Indeed if they don't want you? Well, I just think that, if you want something to get to somebody, it's easier to ensure that they got it if you put it in their hand. I hope that makes sense to somebody because it made sense to me. So, Handshake, LinkedIn, Idealist, Indeed. If you find the job on that website, check to see if the job is also posted on that website and apply there. Now, on LinkedIn specifically, there are, and I think so on Handshake too, because they're getting a little progressive, man. They are learning. Listen, the internet is growing and fast. They're learning. But there are job boards right on there. So let's say, for example, you're applying for a job at Disney. I jumped way out there with that one. But hey, if you're an animation major, I'm sure you appreciate that. Disney probably has a group, and they may have various groups too on LinkedIn, but I would go in and figure out inside of the groups that Disney has, like, what is the best space for me to learn about their like job postings, right? It's like, it might be careers at Disney, and then follow that page. You can even set up like a notification alert where when they post new jobs, and you can even like curate it too. You can like say that you're looking for jobs in animation, and then every time that careers at Disney, right, if that were a group, posts a job for animation, that you get an email alert. So kind of staying abreast of job boards too helps in that way. Also, this is my like hack. Okay, this is the cheat code that I have for LinkedIn. My superpower, I don't know if anybody else does it, but this is my jam, okay? I like to start at UMBC, like the University of Maryland, Baltimore County page, or if that, let's say, for example, your major is not the university who's like the best and brightest star in that. Like, let's say if you are, I don't know, like interested in fashion, then maybe NYU has a better network. Especially if you're interested in moving to New York, or that's where you plan to live. But for the sake of our conversation, I'm gonna stick to University of Maryland, Baltimore County's page. Here's my cheat code. I like to go to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County's page, then go to the alumni tab, click on alumni. And then what I like to do is put in either my major or the company that I'm aspiring to work for. Let it filter it out for me to see like, okay, these are the people who are software developers, right? I put in there software developer or software development. Now it goes from 85,000 people down to 1,200. And that's a much more manageable group of folks. So now I'm sifting through people who actually are doing the work that I want to do. And if somebody holds a job title that I'm interested in, I click on their page. Yep. Oh, there it is. Bobby Allen. Boop. UMBC alumni class of 99. And he was a computer science major, right? So Bobby Allen works for Google. Boom, click on his thing, and now here's the hack. I go into Bobby Allen's job history. Where did you work at, Bobby? What job titles did you hold? Where did you live? Where do you live now? And so now I am learning from Bobby Allen without him even having to talk to me. Like, whether I'm sending him a message or not. I'm learning job titles. I'm potentially learning companies that I never considered. And I am on the resource page. If he's linking, I don't know, like articles and videos, I am engaging with Bobby Allen without even having to bother Bobby Allen, right? Because if I see myself as a bother, this is no bother. Right. So this is my cheat code too. It's like, how do I, and that doesn't necessarily get you the job by going to Bobby Allen's page, but using the information that you get from him can help you take the next step. And then Bobby Allen really is a UMBC alumni who graduated from here in 1999, and he definitely does work at Google. If you are an aspiring Google employee, send him a message, and he really does have an affinity for UMBC. He was just here in 2024. He was the keynote speaker at the diversity recruitment event, and he, is a Baltimore native, or Baltimore County native. He met his wife here. He's told this whole story, right? And so he has a soft spot. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to know that the people who you are either interviewing with, reaching out to on LinkedIn, Retrievers Connect, or in life, they are people with stories and passions and excitements. And they are just like you, right? And if they don't respond to you, or if you don't get the job, or if you pick the wrong major, or whatever the case may be, right? Like, there's tomorrow. You go to sleep, you wake up, and you tell yourself, hey, my name is Molly Singer, and there's nobody in the world who's better than me. I hope this helps somebody. We're going to put and link in the show notes some helpful resources, whether it be, all the things that we referenced during our podcast episode today. I don't know if you like this format or not. Give us some encouragement. Tell us if you want to go back to the way things were. But we're trying to, diversify how we engage with you. So I hope that this has been helpful again. And, you mean so much to me. Retrievers Nation, Steph from the podcast, and I'm out.